All right, well, this is game two from my little three-game local tournament fought at Tabletop in San Antonio, Texas. Tabletop is a great little game shop, really nice community, good owner. I highly recommend it if you're in town. So I am playing against an opponent from Austin. They'd driven down, and Sebastian was his name, and he's got some fantastic looking minis already. He's one of the few people in the room who had a fully painted army because he had converted pretty easily from Warhammer Fantasy. So he's got a couple units of knights, a unit of reavers out there. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the elf list is called, so I'll probably use some Warhammer terms here. I apologize. He's got a horde of archers there, and he's got some tree guys and some of the shambling tree guys, forest shamblers, and I'm not sure what the dryad guys are called, but they are irritating. That's what I'll call them. And then he's got himself a tree herder there. You'll see some flat terrain on the board, little cards there. They represent, it's flat terrain used in games like War Machine, apparently. We used it in our game two, the one behind his units there that have advanced up with their vanguard. That's like a pit, so if you get into it, you'll be height 0. And then there's that building over there, which will play a pretty big role in the game later on the left-hand side, and then I've got that little flat forest there. I think it's fine for forests, but I really think that three-dimensional terrain is important for a war game. Anyway, we used it; it was fine, and we went ahead. So you'll see my deployment. The mission, by the way, for this game is to get as many of your points across the halfway line as you can. Which, as I look at my deployment here and realize how stupid I was, I really did a poor job of trying to play to the scenario. I just kind of deployed, I don't know, suspiciously, out of fear, I'm not sure. But I did not deploy well, so that was my first problem. I should have been much more mobile with the Berserker Brock Riders and able to get into those flanks, and I just kind of screwed myself. Anyway, so the funny thing about Vanguard in Kings of War, which is different than in Warhammer Fantasy, is that you can charge on the turn that you Vanguard if you go first. You can't so much do that with Warhammer, but I forgot. So I Vanguarded my lovely little units of Rangers up on turn 1, thinking that he couldn't charge me, that I'd maybe get the charge on him or get a couple of shots off. That was dumb. That's his Dragon Lord guy. He's got a Dragon Kindred Lord hiding out behind that building. That guy is nasty and will prove to be a big problem for me during the game. So over here, this is my left. I got both of my organ guns on this hill, and my purpose for having them over there was to kind of cut off the left-hand side as an approach for his cavalry, and they did okay at that. But once again, the problem I'm having with my artillery is that I can't move them and then shoot them in the same turn. So if somebody can get ahead of your firing arc, you'll never take a shot at them, and that's really tough. So if I deploy behind that hill, I can't see anything. If I deploy on that hill, I have to be very careful about the arc of fire that I present so that he can't run into it. So I did my best to try to find a really good arc of fire, but kind of failed. You'll also notice yet another failed deployment here. I got Iron Guard just directly in front of those the Ironclad. And I actually, to be perfectly honest, couldn't tell you why. Anyway, here's his Reaver dudes and his cavalry. This is turn 1 somewhere. I didn't take many pictures of this game. It got pretty intense towards the end, so you'll have to bear with me as I tell the story. Yeah, so that's what happens when you leave your Rangers swinging out in the wind, and he goes first. So, turn 1, he pops both Ranger units. His Lord comes up. He's got a tree herder behind him. I mean, this is all just bad. All this is bad. But hey, it's a troop, right? It's just a troop of those guys. It's a horde of the big guys, but I got my Berserker Brock Lord over there. I think I can take those guys, but it's just a troop of those tree guys. They can't possibly be all that great. I'll pop those guys, and then I'll be threatening a center. I'll be all right. So I charge my Lord and my Berserker Brock Riders into the trees, my Iron Guard into those other guys, and I'm thinking to myself, I think I might be all right. Nope. So I got my really slow horde kind of moving around, trying to come out and around for those guys, maybe get into a position to flank. Those guys are a waste this entire game, just because I deployed them so badly. And I move up. So here's how that fight is. I do some wounds to the trees, but don't pop them. I do some wounds to the herders, but maybe pop them? Don't pop them? No, I don't pop them. They stay for one more turn. Yeah, they get a bunch of wounds on them, and then the other guys die. But they don't break. I don't break them. And in fact, I won't break them for the remainder of the game. I got 6 wounds on those guys. And his shooting is just pounding on me. He's moving his cavalry on the left. What I haven't taken a picture of on the left-hand side, far left-hand side, is his Reavers managed to get to a place where he was out of the arc of fire of the organ gun, and so they were ahead of the organ gun. I had to continually threaten them with the organ gun, or they would charge and make a mess out of it. So one of my organ guns was basically busy chasing a group of Reavers, which is great for him. I do kill off the trees in the center. You'll see that. My Berserker Brock Lord is who they countercharged, but they did not break him. So between the two of them, they did pop them that turn. And here's me trying to kind of come around that building and get into the fight. Again, dwarves don't move well, so this was just all bad. And now he's lining up his cavalry. So this is where things got a little hinky in the game, and I'm not sure we made the right call, but this is the call that was made. I don't think it would have changed. Ultimately, it wound up costing him more points than it gained him, and I don't know that it changed the game just by virtue of where it changed my positioning. But I thought I was protected by that little flat house on the left there, that there wasn't enough of that he could not align to me, that there wasn't enough left of my flank for him to get that unit into the flank. He disagreed. We both debated about it back and forth, brought in some help. At the end of the day, we sort of with the input of the people around us decided that he could get into the flank, so that was bad because he popped that unit of Iron Guard in one turn. You see my king, though, on the right-hand side flying up, going to get into those darn archers because with the Bane Chant 1 and the armor penetration item on those guys, those are just nasty. You'll see my Berserker Brocks lining up against the big tree herder, and then my Lord lining up there too. He kills my Lord with shooting. I go into that tree herder with the Berserker Brock Riders and just cannot kill it. Wavers my Iron Guard there, so the trees are fine. Like, they can't kill those guys either. And here's that front and flank. And this is what drives me kind of nuts about it. Only because, like, only a little bit of his guy could get in. He gets all of his attacks, and he gets double his attacks, and so that unit pops. So there he is at the end of it. I've got a group of Ironclad kind of screwed. And here's that fight continuing. Both units taking tons of damage, and I can't break him, and he regenerates just enough wounds to stay alive. My Shieldbreaker's trying to get somewhere to do something. Oh, this is the last picture I took, unfortunately. So, on the left-hand side, what happens is he's got his Reavers. They kill the organ gun. They line up. I face both of his units of cavalry with my Ironclad. He rear charges and front charges the Ironclad unit with, he takes 1 unit of cavalry of his heavy cav and then his little dudes into his back, but he only does like 1 wound. So my Ironclad turn around, kill the small unit of Reavers, and then my organ gun blows up the unit of, my remaining organ gun blows up the unit of Knights and kills them off. At the end of the day, though, those trees in the center and that forest never break. I never kill that tree herder in the center. He just survives every single time, and it eventually kills the Brocks off. And I cannot kill the Dragon Kindred Lord, so I have no points. The only points I get is my king up on his unit up at the top, and I lose that game. This game was a little bit frustrating, mostly just because of those trees in the center holding longer than they should have, and the flank charge that killed the Iron Guard kind of set me off. And so it was kind of a frustrating game. My opponent was great. He outplayed me, he outdeployed me. I deployed really poorly. And now I know just how rugged elves can be. Those tree herders and the trees are all very tough. You know, high defense. They hit hard, crushing strength. Elves don't need much to do the job. So, you know, especially with cavalry that moves so well and have such a high defense, they're a really good army. And I'm thinking that a little more time shooting, a little more backlogging, and then moving out would help. In this scenario in particular, I definitely should have taken my Berserker Brock Riders front and center, pushed them up, used them as a threat, either front and center or on the left-hand side, and just pushed them, push, and get as many points as I can across the goal line. So I should have made one long battle line and then advanced as best I could. But I did not, and that was a mistake. Losing my Rangers in the beginning, man, that was stupid, and really did cost me because they can help me put some wounds on something before the big dogs get in. They can screen units, they can provide a little bit of shooting damage, they can assist organ guns in taking things out. They're just really good, and I misuse them as well. So this was all me. Yeah, so 1-1 going into game 3.